Welcome to Energy Charts Today. My name's David Linton, and today's edition for Friday the 31st of March comes to you from Lisbon in Portugal. I'm here seeing some clients today and looking forward to the weekend here. So we start by looking at exchange traded products, and then we'll go on to OTC products on the Trayport screen. So Updata running on Bloomberg here and on Trayport. So we start by looking at crude oil. We see the recovery here is underway, and that trend really just continues in the short term. We do have an upside target of 53. We haven't quite made it there yet, but we do have this resistance as well on the short-term point and figure chart. Remembering this is my long-term, my medium term, and my short term picture. But crude oil really just struggling to come out there. If we look at WTI, we see much the same thing. We're recovering into the cloud, but this fallout that we saw in March, really we expect this trend to be fairly short-lived. We don't have any clear upside targets here on WTI to play for, so that's quite insightful as well. US NatGas holding its strength, 322 at the moment, just coming back to above the cloud on price. We've got quite good upside targets here, 344, 327, the short-term one to play for, 368, and as high as 415 long-term. So US NatGas still looking pretty good. Heating oil chart looks very similar to the crude chart. We do have an upside target here of $163, so that's 4.8%. And looking at RBOB, this is the one chart that actually has looked pretty strong throughout the whole downturn in crude, so we are just seeing lots of upside targets there. Coal prices have come back through the cloud on the short term, but this medium term chart, there's a lot of resistance and it is looking still pretty bearish. We do still have these downside targets hanging over us on coal into the mid 50s and then the mid 40s. And whilst we've got a short term recovery and we have got some quite big targets to the upside here as well, it does show that coal's volatility tells us it could go either way. Looking at emissions charts, we see here that emissions is still pretty bearish below the cloud, and that's quite key as well. And we're seeing that showing through on the chart. So quite insightful there. We still have this downside target to 420 as well, so quite key there. Looking at exchange traded gas products, we see here on NBP front month, we are just coming through the cloud just, so we are seeing a slight improvement, but very bearish in the medium term. Downside target of 33 on that chart. Looking at the front month TTF, much the same as you would expect, just coming through the cloud as well. So a little bit of recovery in gas markets on the exchange traded products, but we're also seeing the OTC markets off this morning, so we'll take a look at that in a moment. Dollar is looking strong short term at the moment, and the euro is looking weak. We're seeing here below the cloud, euro looking still pretty bearish with lots of downside targets here, so that's quite worrying as well. Sterling, we're seeing here, is below the cloud against the dollar, but looking reasonably strong against the euro, and we see here that euro weakness is the real theme, dollar strength, and sterling stuck somewhere in the middle. Taking a look at OTC products, so these coming off Trayport, Updata running on Trayport screen. If we look here, we see MBP is just turning down again this morning on the OTC products, and we see here on within day we're just below the cloud. The prompt market's still looking a bit bearish, and the winter summer markets also. So we're just seeing the prompt market below there. Looking at TTF, we see here again a sell-off this morning, just not really managing to get through this cloud on the short term, and the same on the winter summer contracts. And the day ahead, quite a big rise there this morning, so we're seeing that the prompt market's actually rising. NCG just starting to wander through on the short term, but still below the cloud on the lagging line, and Gazprom much the same. Gas markets generally looking pretty weak. German power just selling off a little bit this morning, but we are through the cloud and holding that. So the power market's looking a lot better. We've got an upside target here of 32.64, which is now activated, and we did find support on the cloud here quite strongly at around this 28 level. So German power looking pretty good. Looking at the In the quarters, we see here that we're just coming through the cloud as well, and the months we're actually just coming through on the short term too. So German power looking pretty good all round. French power still has work to do. This is the year's contract. Really, the catastrophic failure after the nukes rise is still having an effect on French power. We're seeing that in the quarters and the months as well. So that's quite key. Looking at Dutch power, we're below the cloud, and it just in the last few weeks have really come into bearish territory here, so that's not looking so good. And Italian power just holding on, but below in the short-term chart as well. And as I'm in Iberia, look at Spanish power. We see here this is looking more bullish, above the cloud on all three time frames, so it's looking quite a lot better. That's it for today. Until Monday, happy charting. Have a great weekend. See you then.